Pro wrestlers are about as close to real-life superheroes as you can get, but which heroes or villains do they most remind us of? John Cena is obviously Peacemaker, but on the DC Comics side of things, who is everyone else? Yes, Roman Reigns is the superstar who finishes opponents off with the Superman punch, but there's another star, a rival of Roman's, whose character is more in line with DC's ultimate good guy. Cody Rhodes is definitely the Superman of wrestling, at least at the moment. Sure, he had heel runs in the past during his first WWE run on the Indies and in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but pretty much since the start of AEW in 2019 and through his return to WWE, Rhodes has staunchly remained a blue-eyed babyface, even when fans have booed him. In July 2024, he said of turning heel,
"It could happen for sure. I just don't see it happening. And I just don't see it happening."
That's pretty similar to this year's new take on Superman. Even when public opinion turns against him, Supes never wavers in his commitment to being a pure hero.
I wasn't representing anybody except for me and doing good.
The big difference between Superman and Cody is that Cody is far from invincible. He's always taking beatdowns and having to overcome the odds, but Superman has his vulnerabilities too and often has the deck stacked against him in the face of powerful opponents like Lex Luthor. Cody finishing his story at WrestleMania 40 in 2024 absolutely felt like the climax of a superhero yarn. Rhodes rarely cheats in matches, sometimes to his detriment. Recall how he refused to use the title belt to hit Cena during their match at WrestleMania 41, causing him to lose the championship. The American Nightmare may not always be the picture of virtue, like when he forged Cena's signature on their SummerSlam contract, but he always tries. And no, Cody's parents aren't aliens like Superman's are, but his dad was a mythic figure in pro wrestling, the legendary Dusty Rhodes. That's not literally otherworldly, but it's close. A lot of women in pro wrestling could rightly be compared to Wonder Woman, but at this point, we're going to give the nod to Bianca Belair. Not only is the EST of WWE as strong and agile as they come, but she also has been vocal about not wanting to work as a heel on the main roster. Sure, she's had harder-edged moments here and there, like in the build to WrestleMania 41, but Bianca has largely remained on the side of good. And that's not just in the ring. Belair does a lot of charity work outside of the ring. Plus, she's a huge role model for children, especially young girls, a role she takes pride in. Then there's that braid. It's not totally unlike Wonder Woman's lasso of truth, no? Belair is also famous for making her own gear, so a cosplay of Diana Prince isn't out of the question. Wonder Woman has been a mainstay of DC Comics for almost 85 years. Belair, while still in the prime of her career, also has plenty left in the tank to solidify herself as a legend in WWE history, if fans think she hasn't already. Her legacy could very well have Wonder Woman-like longevity in the wrestling world. No, Alexa Bliss isn't the only woman in wrestling to have cosplayed as Harley Quinn. Liv Morgan and plenty of others have done it too, but there are a few additional elements that make Alexa our choice for the Joker's most famous ex. First off, Alexa has outright stated she's a fan. She told Cleveland.com back in 2016, "I love being a villain. It's just so much more fun. Fans like Harley Quinn. I don't think Alexa Bliss as a character cares what people think." Beyond just the look, though, Alexa's character was taken down a dark path in 2020. Not unlike how Dr. Harleen Quinzel fell in love with the Joker and risked it all for him, Alexa became obsessed with Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, and began a descent into madness of her own. Wyatt used the fact that Braun Strowman, with whom he was feuding with at the time, had feelings for Bliss during the cinematic Wyatt swamp fight match. Then Bray targeted her on an episode of SmackDown and hit her with a mandible claw. Rather than being scared away, though, Bliss fell under the Fiend's spell. She slowly transitioned from her goddess character into a darker, more gothic look, and she loved getting to do that.
The most fun I've ever had in my career.
Time.
Bliss would seemingly go into trances and use Bray's move, the Sister Abigail, as her finisher. She began appearing alongside Wyatt on the Firefly Funhouse and eventually feuded with Randy Orton alongside the Fiend. Though Orton isn't our Batman, more on that in a sec, Alexa even faced off with him one-on-one like Harley sometimes does with bats. We've already kind of let the cat out of the bag here anyway, so yes, the late Bray Wyatt is our pick for wrestling's Joker. And not just because he manipulated Alexa Bliss to become, essentially, his Harley. It's not even just the clown-like smiling mask. It's hard sometimes to tell what the Joker's ultimate goal is. It seems like he'd rather just mess with his enemies' heads rather than win, as it were. It's all about the psychological warfare for him, and the Fiend often behaved similarly. Take, for instance, the infamous 2019 Hell in a Cell match between The Fiend and Seth Rollins. Fans didn't like it for lots of reasons, including it ending in a referee stoppage despite being a hardcore match. But story-wise, it was all about The Fiend driving Rollins to the brink of madness. And then there was the Firefly Funhouse match at WrestleMania 36, where Wyatt won not by physically attacking John Cena, but by breaking down his psyche. With the combination of his children's show host and the terrifying Fiend, Wyatt was a master manipulator, just like the Joker. The man behind Bray, Wyndham Rotunda, sadly passed away in 2023, but his legacy lives on. The Joker had his adherents, as does Wyatt, now in the form of the Wyatt Six. R-Truth falls squarely into the chaotic good alignment. He usually has noble intentions, even when he doesn't understand what's going on. Like, remember when he accidentally entered the Women's Royal Rumble? Or thought the Rumble was the Money in the Bank ladder match? It's that kind of good-natured, confused goofiness that made fans love him so much that they revolted when his contract was allowed to expire and WWE had to bring him back. And then there's his long history with John Cena, which dates back to 2011. In recent years, Truth has spoken of Cena as his childhood hero, despite Cena being 5 years younger than him.
He is my childhood hero. I would be, Lay's Cross, watching him every Saturday morning.
All that combined, the chaotic, sometimes violent energy mixed with a love-hate relationship with Cena, makes him the perfect choice for Vigilante, Peacemaker's sort-of sidekick, at least the TV version. Vigilante looks up to Peacemaker like Truth looks up to Cena. He's also totally nuts.
I mean, I didn't care because I don't have emotions like people do.
Vigilante and Peacemaker also feud at times like Truth and Cena did in the first half of 2025. Okay, sure, if you're going to compare Sting to a comic book character, the first option is almost definitely the Crow. But he isn't a DC character, and in practice, Sting's character has just as much in common with Batman, even though he looks just like the Crow. Sting saw injustice running rampant through WCW with the rise of the NWO, so he took to the shadows high above the arena to swoop down and save the day at just the right moment. Sting was also the ultimate good guy throughout the vast majority of his career, his TNA run as Joker Sting notwithstanding. Batman is also often a hero of few words, just like Sting, who went over a year without saying a word in WCW. And Sting has a Robin. Yes, he was a loner through much of his time in WCW, except for when he was in the NWO Wolfpack. But when he made his way over to AEW in 2020, he consistently teamed up with Darby Allin. Allin and Sting are close friends in real life, and Sting even retired as one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions alongside Allin. If you were to throw Sting into the DC universe, you'd want Allin beside him as his trusty sidekick. Roman Reigns was a babyface and fans hated it. Then he was a heel and fans loved it. Now he occupies that sort of sweet spot tweener zone where he can be a badass but also still get cheered by fans. The spacefaring bounty hunter Lobo also resides in that anti-hero territory, and that's why we think he and Roman are a good fit for one another. It also helps that they look alike in some depictions. It's been confirmed that Jason Momoa will play the main man in the 2026 Supergirl movie, and look, it might be a little unfair to say that Roman is wrestling's Jason Momoa, but the resemblance cannot be overstated. Roman has a Lobo-like swagger to him. Both characters are confident to the point of cocky and very self-assured in their abilities. While Reigns is more reserved and restrained compared to Lobo's brashness, their aura is very similar. Lobo is also an extremely powerful being in the DC universe. He has gone toe-to-toe with Superman multiple times, and even won their first matchup in the comics, kinda like how Roman beat Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39. Lobo isn't unbeatable, but he's still a force to be reckoned with, which is extremely similar to Reigns in the wrestling ring. The major difference is that while Roman often has his family entourage with him, Lobo is more of a lone wolf. We promise, it's not just because he's bald. While Paul Heyman is not a wrestler, he is a mastermind, and that's the role Lex Luthor often plays as well. In recent film versions of Lex, he's been portrayed as a younger man, but in the comics and Gene Hackman's version in the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, Lex has been depicted a little older and a little wiser. The creative force behind Extreme Championship Wrestling has always used his wits to get where he is, and it's led him to the top of the wrestling industry as a manager, advocate, wise man, and now the Oracle. Both Lex and Heyman will use their charisma and cunning to execute master plans, often claiming that their machinations are for the greater good. It's not entirely correct to say either Luthor or Heyman entirely relies on brains over brawn. They both just use the muscle of their henchmen to get their dirty work done. Like James Gunn's Luthor has the Engineer and Ultraman, Heyman is currently backed by Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. Both Luthor and Heyman have also gotten their comeuppance. One example for Heyman's came just last year when he was slammed through the commentary desk by Solo Sikoa and his bloodline. Let's get this out of the way first. Guy Gardner is fully a hero. Chad Gable is, without a doubt, a heel. So the two of them have distinctly different alignments, but their attitudes very similar.
And also, you said that I suck.
Gardner has been around for decades, and despite being a hero, his main role has often been to antagonize and annoy his teammates. Batman famously punched him out in an issue of Justice League for being so obnoxious. Gardner has been a sort of entertaining mid-Carter, as it were. He's never been the most important Green Lantern, even from Earth, but he recently rose to more prominence in Superman as the leader of the Justice Gang. As a babyface, Gable wasn't entirely connecting with the crowd, but when he became more of a cocky heel with a bad attitude following his split with Alpha Academy, a Justice Gang-like stable that he created, fans started taking more notice of him. Like Gardner, Gable is not at the top of the card, but he's considered to be one of the best technical wrestlers in the game, underestimated until he gets his time to shine between the ropes. And he can just be so annoying. Nathan Frazer and Axiom are both excellent choices to compare to the Flash. It's Frazer who has often incorporated Flash-like symbols and colors into his ring gear. Yet both men are so similar to the Scarlet Speedster that WWE even incorporated some blurriness into their entrance for the fans at home, making it seem like they're moving at a crazy speed even before their matches begin. The pair first started teaming together in late 2023 and have exploded across the tag team scene, both in NXT and now on the main roster. The duo, now known as Fraxiom among fans, have lightning-quick, high-flying abilities in the ring. While it's usually Braun Breaker who's praised for his breakneck speed, Fraxiom doesn't get enough credit. While dissension between the pair was teased toward the end of their NXT run, they both have remained babyfaces just like good DC superheroes would. They've also been very successful, having held the NXT Tag Team Championships twice for just over 350 days total. And who's to say there can't be two Flashes? Barry Allen and Wally West have worked together a bunch of times.